Ah, the toxic fumes and the cries from the little poor people in their slums. Makes you feel right at home. But that's enough of the atmosphere. We're going to be talking about Minotaur. So some of you guys might have a very vague memory of Minotaur, and to jog your memory, Mark Booper.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier.
He played this game about like, hang on, I need to check when he played this game. Seven years ago. Oh my god. All right. So since that video was released 7 years ago, and it was, I think, a demo or like a Kickstarter, I'll just kind of give you a quick little recap of the Minotaur story and, like, you know, the explanation on what it is. So Minotaur is a story-driven game. It takes place in an apartment complex on the outskirts of Nova, which turned into a deadly labyrinth for its tenants. It's up to them to figure out who and why set up this elaborate trap and try to find their way out of it. I got that from the website, and if you check the website right now, guess fucking what? It's closed! Minotaur features multiple different endings for different kind of, like, it's a visual novel that's also a puzzle game. It has 3D, well, it says on the website it has 2D and a half, which I'm almost certain that means it uses 3D assets but mainly is 2D, or one or the other way, I don't know. But yeah, no, it has multiple different endings for, you know, different characters. So from my understanding, there's another person that you can play, but I've only known the one guy, the one myth, the man, the guy, Nod. Well, I think it's like Nod Pikes, that's his name. Nod Pikes, but yeah, no, so. I do need to say as well, a content warning and a spoiler warning. If you like how this game looks right now and sounds the way I really shittily described it, you can check it on Steam, itch.io, I think, and then other places, whatever. I think it's about $10 or $15, so I'd say it's a pretty good buy. I mean, you get quite a lot from it, but yeah, no, so, you know, there. Go explore, like, the game. It's voice acted, so if you can't read like me, you'll be fine. Now that all of the little people go away, time to get into the story, baby. So the story of Minotaur is a little tiny bit obscure. It's quite hard to find because the Wayback Machine is the only real source of data to get on this game for now, because the website is down and some of the story is on that website and you can't access it. But what I could find is, you know, the game is taking place in a kind of like universe called the Universe of Seven, which, funnily enough, the game developer or game developers are also called the U7 committee. So it's like referring to the both universe and the developers is a bit of a weird conundrum that you need to face. Well, not you, but like me, because I'm really stupid. The world itself, from what I can find anyway, or like kind of, I guess, like decode or something, the world of Minotaur, or the world that Minotaur takes place in, is called Aya, Aya, and the kind of continent itself, like where the game is also taking place, is called Chios, and it's one of 4 continents. But, you know, the info might be wrong. I'm just really stupid when finding stuff like that, but it seems to be taking place there. And Minotaur is in, like, the apartment that Minotaur takes place in is in a dome-like city called Nova DC, with the city being divided into districts. The districts being, you know, the Central District and then the Rim District.
Rim World.
I can't, dude. When I say Rim, I just think of the guy in the suit saying Rim World. Anyway, no, so, and the Rim District being where, you know, the game is actually taking place. So the actual game begins with, with the first route anyway, with Nod Pikes. It starts with Nod Pikes being woken up by his AI assistant Ollie,
Nod!
who in game is more of a comic relief type character, but also like she helps you out quite a bit by giving you clues and stuff during the game, like either really subtle ones or very not so subtle ones. It's highly implied that he managed to switch the locks or something while he was drunk, like the little like number thing. Or he just forgot. Well, it's supposed to explain us having a new perspective of the game while, you know, he himself is just like woken up and just forgot everything apparently. But you learn eventually that the code itself is behind a painting of him and his ex, which... One of the main problems I have with this game is that he just doesn't shut the fuck up over it. I know he broke up with her and she's living with another guy, richer guy, on the floor above, but like my guy doesn't shut the fuck up about her. Like, it gets really annoying. But after Nod gets the door open, we are cut into a flashback / you know, cutscene-ish thing where we see through a surveillance camera Ollie, Nod, his ex Irene, which I mentioned, which he doesn't shut the fuck up over, and her boyfriend or husband, I can't really remember, Arthur. It looks over the perspective of this mysterious figure wearing a blue mask, which I didn't notice until very late into the actual dialogue that, oh, there's someone in the reflection looking at me. But after the day before cutscene, basically, Nod comes to the hallway where it just sees a big debris field blocking the passage to actually leave, which confusingly it doesn't really state how that ever happened because he just quote unquote slept through it, which if you look at it in the game, it looks like a big fucking explosion happened there. But you know, it adds to the mystery, and also there's blood under that, so someone either got crushed and, you know, I don't like to say it was, you know, one of his friends on the apartment, but it probably was, let's be real. Speaking of the friend, after he sees the debris, he, you know, turns to one of his neighbors called Maya, like an artisan person, painter lady thing that she lives in the apartment a couple floors down from him, so he goes in to check on her. She isn't there, probably being crushed under the debris, let's be real. And he decides to take her car, basically, but you have to solve a puzzle. You have to redirect a kind of arc generator thing to a refueling stage into the car, which, funnily enough, it's not properly installed because Nod is a lazy little fuck, and he didn't put in the nice premium stuff, so he settled with just, you know, fuck around and find out. The arc thing, the generator, it blows up. After it blows up, he puts it in a little power bank thing, charges the car, and literally can move to the next apartment. After reaching the balcony to the next apartment, he goes in and finds it, let's say, not so good state, basically. It's riddled with mystery. It has a table in the middle with some pretty little flowers, with a bunch of robotic beetles flying around it. He thinks nothing of it and then just walks through, eventually coming up to an elevator where, you know, he can't seem to make it work because it's just filled to the brim with just rich guy stuff, basically. So he uses a motorcycle attached to a rope to break through to the elevator shaft. After getting through the elevator shaft, he realizes, oh wait, there's nothing to open it, but there is a little hole. And guess what? One of the flowers doesn't have any power to it, and it's kind of dead, but it has a very conveniently shaped kind of point to it where you can jam it in to that little tiny hole and open the elevator, which, you know, it's pretty convenient, but, you know, it's a puzzle game, so fair enough. If you use Nod's power sight thing, you can literally see when you get into the room that there is no power going to that one flower, and I think he makes a comment before even before you go into the elevator anyway. But I got very much stuck on that for quite a while because I did not know if I missed anything. Just to give a little side note as well, there are these really specific moments where it's kind of downtime and Ollie brings you into her sort of reality, a visual representation of her AI, basically. And it's basically a fever dream where the first one, you're on a cat, with a big flea as a table and a bunch of things flying around, which it's a bit weird since the other ones after that are pretty much all like cat-based, because I think one of them you see yourself, well, you see Nod and Ollie from the perspective of the cat that was transporting them through the kind of like dream segments. But after that, Nod gets up to the kind of Arthur's little penthouse thing, and then it cuts to a flashback, and I know this is a flashback this time, to 3 months ago, but you see Arthur and his daughter with their kind of it's called, the character's called Mentor, like 17 or something, and she's like a robot that only speaks Japanese for some reason. And they all speak English back to her, but all seem to understand her as well, which I don't know either in lore that they're all, like, they just all know all the languages through, like, a chip in their head. You can see that mysterious white-faced lady just kind of staring at the screen, just watching it. But from that little cutscene, Thea, as they say, I'm calling it Thea because it's, you know, I'm dumb. But Thea was quite neglected by Arthur when she was young. I don't really know why he neglected her, probably because he's a greedy businessman and, you know, But after that kind of flashback / monitor staring at lady thing, Nod finds himself in a kind of storage room, and the first thing you do is pick up a fucking crowbar because it's said to be the most useful thing. But after you're done exploring the little storage area thingy, you go into the penthouse and see that there are 5 ominous water tanks that are just there in a very fancy looking room. When you go up to one of them, you see a bunch of dead fish, and you know, that implies that I guess they starved to death in there. But after some sightseeing, most players head into the bathroom, which, when you go in, guess who's there? Little Thea.
What is she doing in the shower like that?
She's sitting in the shower.
Or maybe she already did,
you know,
in which I've got a bad feeling about this.
I mean, even the game dialogue, Thea does say to you, "Are you some sort of pervert?"
What?
And while that's all happening, you probably don't realize, or you probably do really quickly, that the audio is on auto, which isn't a thing you can do, or I don't think it was anyway. Maybe there's some updates, who knows. But the game dialogue is on auto, which means something bad's gonna happen. And something bad eventually does happen when Thea tries to leave the shower, and it's very much welded or soldered or melted. The door can't open basically, and she can't leave. And to say I didn't panic is oh no. A part of me really wanted to just stand there and just watch her drown. Then the other part of me, realizing that, like, you know, I should be a normal human being, immediately try to spam click everything in that room, picking up a towel, but not knowing what to do until I realized, oh, I should probably go out to the catwalk, go around, and find the water generator. And eventually you do, and, well, most people actually do save Thea, but, you know, if you're a real psychopath, if you're a real big psychopath, you can just take the ladder and just leave. I mean, Nod tries to stop you. Well, he has a quote-unquote internal conflict with himself, or, you know, you, and he tries to leave, but, you know, I mean, you can leave. I'm not saying, like, I'm saying he tries to leave, but he can't actually leave. You can make him leave, which, that's another thing I love about the game. But, like, you can make him leave, and he'll feel insane guilt over it. But assuming you took the normal person route, you saved her, you can't get her out for some reason, and, you know, she just sits there and snores incredibly loudly, like, monstrously loudly.
What the?
Which, I'm just gonna go on a side note, by the way, as well, for the developers. They put a fucking little screen at the bottom right of this, like, at the bottom right of the actual, like, game screen. You just see her really slowly drowning, which is insane, but it's also, like, I feel like she could survive that if she just stuck her head up for most of it, but, like, it's kind of, like, haunting to see her just kind of there, really slowly drowning. And, like, when you walk past as well, you can see the different stages of her, like, the tank filling up, which, again, is insane. And in the meantime, there is a little door with someone probably implying that it's Mentor 15, 17, whatever the number is. She's probably in there malfunctioning or something like that. Every time I try to do it, I couldn't get in there, and something's telling me you probably could if you really tried, but I was doing a one-run wonder right there, so like, I just said no, I just kind of left her in there, just to, whatever. Surely that won't come to haunt me. So after that, you just kind of like walk around, you go in an elevator, and then, you know, you get transported back into all these little fun dimension where you see the cat that I mentioned before. And then after that, you go into a little fight scene. You use a makeshift slingshot against a robot called a Bygone. And according to the lore, those were just guys that were there after a big war, but then people don't like him and whatever. The main thing about that actual scene is that someone was in the window, I think watching you, because there was a silhouette that you could say, hey, you there? And then they go, woo, and then disappear. So, you know, fuck those guys, or fuck whoever that was. But after that whole fight scene, you go into a little boiler where after you clear some smoke and walk a little bit forward, you get transported again to a flashback cutscene thing where it is Arthur sitting at the edge of a bed-ish thing, looking very hot and looking right at you. Well, your POV anyway. In a room seemingly surveying Nod as well in the top, like, right. But it seems like the white mask lady with the blue eyes, she's some sort of high security detail that is just literally monitoring, you know, most of the civilians. So, like, you'll see in the next kind of scene in the cutscene that, you know, you got, like, on the left you see Nod, in the middle you see Irene, the right you see the Penguin, and then on the bottom you see Thea and her, like, mentor thingy, I was gonna say driving instructor, like piano instructor, I think. But after that whole cutscene, you just walk forward, look into the monitor, and you see Mentor laying down with red eyes with something on her, like this black thing on her chest. And I know I did kind of throw you guys off with the whole, I left her back, what could possibly harm me? But it was a very peculiar sight, and I think, and if there's any like Minotaur, like old heads or whatever, like Minotaur experts, correct me if I'm wrong, you can possibly save her, but that's the only thing I know about that is that like there's an option for her route, and I think it's been out for quite a while. I've just never ever been able to like play it for some reason. And after that, you see Ollie doing her little thing. Like in the story, you don't know what she's trying to do. She's trying to do something with some weird like black things, but more importantly, if you click on the wrong monitor that shows her ass, she let's just say she really just like emphasizes that you really did just press on her butt.
I was just
staring at my butt.
And then after that whole fiasco, you eventually use the security cameras to look around, find a big like starship thing that's just sitting on the roof that Nod can take to escape whatever situation that he might be in. Making his way up to the roof, he goes on and 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 on about his fucking ex. It's a very skippable moment. I mean, for story-wise, it's quite emotional, like walk up the stairs, but you just gotta like just spam that shut up. But then as you reach to the top of the stairwell, you notice that you need to run into a puzzle, and guess who's striking back? The Penguin. So the Penguin Hunter is a little bit of a music freak, a little bit of a kind of guy. So you need to make him play very loudly to get all the items from his like shelf to drop onto the kind of below part of the window that you can collect. And after you do that, all the lights go out, and then he just kind of stares at you with his creepy ass eyes, just like watching you before just kind of going away. Going forward from that gate that you just unlocked, you go into this kind of ominous room just called Cage. And then when you get in there, you go through this quite beautiful like flashback again to one of Irene's concerts that Nod was at. And well, I mean, he was just annoying me with his thing, so I just gotta laugh at him, basically, just sitting there on his own while Hunter just, like, kind of cleaned up and stuff. But then Nod eventually gets to the rooftops, and, like, to be fair, you do get a very, very pretty sight looking, like, on toward all of, like, Nova, basically. Not, of course, onto the capital, but more of like just the Rim district. And after all that, we're approaching the end of Nod's route, where kind of at the very end-ish, you get an ultimatum with Ollie. Either go back to Irene, so she poses the idea that she can take you back to Irene, or move on with your life and like go to the shuttle and escape everything. That's just what makes Minotaur so great, in my opinion, is that like it gives that kind of like mysterious and like, you know, kind of great mystery, I guess, to this entire thing. But you can either like go back to Irene, i.e. go into Ollie's little reality where Lemao, she takes over your body and then just kind of leaves you trapped as an AI, I guess. Or you can move on with your life and go up toward the shuttle or up the stairs and move away from like everything. And me being really annoyed with Nod about keep on mentioning, the first thing I did was go up and leave. But as Nod is leaving, he goes up to a little garden on the rooftop, and as he kind of approaches near one of the ledges, he sees the Mentor robot that, you know, Thea's instructor or whatever. She's just kind of ominously staring off in the rooftops, and as Nod gets closer to the Mentor, notes that he might need her in case of emergencies and whatnot. And as he approaches her, as she approaches her, on the right hand of the screen, you can see the credits going, and I'm just like, no, because I knew something bad or like an ending was gonna happen, because that kind of just gave away what was gonna happen. Then it pushes you to a cutscene, like a proper, like, you know, somewhat animated-ish cutscene, where Nod reaches to her, she grabs his arm, and then using her immense Mentor strength, just absolutely crushes his poor little man-machine arm thing, embraces him, and just falls. Like, she just straight up just did the Kermit meme and just fell backwards with him. Just an absolute dick move. But then afterwards, you can see Ollie in her little dimension holding... It's a bit creepy, but she's holding a little doll of Nod, which I don't know what that alludes to. But she's holding a little, like a plushie of him, and she moves, like, she attempts to move the car, that they parked originally, like, all the way back at the beginning, and Try moves it to intercept both of them to kind of catch the fall. The only bad thing is, and I think this is also one of the choices you can make throughout the entire game, is that you're supposed to preserve Ollie's kind of, like, power meter to be able to let her be able to move that car. But as she attempts to move the car, it doesn't work. Lemao, we can laugh at her. And then they kind of just plummet. And then as they plummet, we can see that a scary, mysterious agent person, they just drag Nod into some sort of like garage or something. And then the game ends there. Absolute cinema. So that all sounds great, doesn't it? Now we can talk about why it faded and why no one talks about this game for some reason. So the development. The development of this game. It's a little bit shaky, to say the very least, with the development of Minotaur. There is about 7 people that work on that game, and from the website, the U7 committee themselves. They got 7 people and a whole ass penguin, so maybe the penguin could be holding them back. But in all seriousness, though, development of the actual game is it's quite slow. The first kind of update on Steam that they posted was the 22nd of 2020, which was that was 5 years ago, and me just saying that really is just a kind of confirming to me that I am getting very old, and 2020 just saying 2020 is 5 years ago just doesn't make any sense. But I do digress. Originally they posted like every so other month, so they posted their first update I can see on Steam on February the 22nd, 2020. Then the next one came on June 18th, 2020, and then the next one after that came October 2020. And then July 16th, 2021. That's when the next major update was released. And then after that, it was in December, And then a whole ass fucking year goes by. And then they release another update on December the 31st of the next year, so 2022. And then in 2023, at 18th of September, we got another progress report or update or whatever you want to call it. And then finally, we are left with 2024 on the 2nd of October. We got a progress update. So I think that this game probably, like, just the fact that it has not updated in a while is probably like one of the main factors to why the game kind of just, or is kind of fizzling out of just public knowledge other than like a really niche kind of audience. I do think, like, this sounds like me complaining about development. I don't have any say in development. I'm an official dumbass, so I can't really say how development would work, but it seems like the universe of 7, like, it seems like they have other projects or just personal stuff in their lives, because it seems that each person in that kind of 8-man squad has different kind of roles to fulfill. But if you've seen like the artwork and like the amount of stuff in that game, it's insane. And like the fact as well that the characters are all voice acted, which is like, not only do they need to write out a whole script for them to say, they need to add like, they need to hire said actors. They've got a really good thing going on here. It's just like, I think slow development and the fact that it was released like, 2019, I think, or I think probably late, like probably sooner than that. I am just checking the store page right now. Yeah, the game officially came to Steam in 2019 and it's currently 2025, so a whole 6 years later, and it's still kind of in somewhat the same place. I mean, the Minotaur route came out, which, I might make another video on that, but we'll see how this one performs. But it's just like, yeah. Another little game theory that I have for this game not doing like all that well, considering like most modern kind of little indie games, is like I said, this is just my opinion and I should not be taken as fact here, but I think the name Minotaur, it's a really cool name. Very unfortunate they picked a really broad term for it, because if you search up Minotaur on YouTube or anything, everything either there is from either a different game or a lot of D&D shit, which, it's fun and all, but like Minotaur isn't really like the most specific term for a game. I mean, you could probably put like Minotaur U7, but like, And then as we're drawing to the conclusion, I'm just going to insert my personal opinions on the game so far, especially like if anyone decides to skip to this point or, has gone to this point. But this game is literally like, it's so well made and just so like, it has such pretty artwork, stellar voice acting and everything. It's just such a shame no one really talks about this game so much, because it's just like, to be fair, if you ground it down to its basics, just like saw it and cut it, like inside, it's literally just a visual novel with some puzzles inside it. But it's just like the narrative and like just how the game has like a mystery to it that like you just don't know like what's going on. And like, I don't know, there's something cool about it. And I always have a soft spot for like cyberpunk-esque stuff, but like their world and what they're building is just so fleshed out. It's like actually insane, like how 7 people plus a penguin managed to figure out like how to do like a story, how to get like voice actors and stuff like that and get them all done and dusted. To be fair though, I feel like this is just my dumbass opinion, by the way, but I think if this was like, I don't know, like a Has-Been Hotel like indie show, that would be pretty cool, because they pretty much have all the resources to probably do that. And probably like the art skills to do that too, assuming that there's more than one artist. And like I said, I'm using that game theory of like saying that there's one artist. There might be more, I don't know, because there's 3D aspects to it. So, but I mean like 2D drawing person. But yeah, no. I just think it's such a shame that this game just doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. It's an early access, which makes sense. Like, I feel like if it was fully released, it would be cool, but like, it just doesn't get the attention which I feel like it should be getting, because it's like, it's genuinely so interesting And I know I keep harping on, I keep saying this, but like it's just such an interesting like little game that like you just I have a nostalgic thing because I watched the Markiplier like video from it, and like literally it just came to me like out of nowhere. I was just like, holy shit. I need to play this game again because fucking Markiplier played this ages ago, and I had that like on my watch later for like fucking decades. So but yeah, no, anyway, that's the end of the video. You can go check out this game. I'm looking at the prices right now. It's around about like $15 or maybe a bit less than that if it goes on discount. So yeah, no, check out the game, and if this video does well, like share the game out and just get it noticed, because I feel like the devs and whatnot really deserve the attention.